but can you communicate effectively? I want to share with you some secrets that I've learned, and there are many things that about communication. I just want to share 3 of them that can help you to be more effective in your communication. If you do these 3 things, you will close the circuit, you will flick the switch, the power will flow, and the light will come on. There will be revelation in your communications. Well, good morning and welcome to Timeout this morning. My name is Jack Vint. I'm out here by the dam, and behind me is water, real water. It's not a green screen. Sometimes there are ducks that swim there. Sometimes there are fish that jump out. And it's a bit cold this morning, and the sun is just coming out. And the reason I come here is because I want to do Timeout in an authentic place. And I love to be out there. Just myself, if you could see me now, I'm just standing here. There's my camera is here and a stand. And this morning I want to share with you about engaging in communication, or connecting, if you want to call it, in communication. How can you do that effectively in your life? And you may think that because communication is so essential, we all do it from a small age to until we're very old, that people would be more deliberate in training you and I to be more effective in communication. And I guess the reason they don't is because everybody assumes that they can communicate effectively. And I guess everybody can communicate. You can. But can you communicate effectively? And can I communicate effectively? And so I want to share with you some secrets that I've learned, and there are many things that about communication. I just want to share 3 of them that can help you to be more effective in your communication and to harness the power of communication. Now, when I was thinking about this podcast, the thought that came to mind was a locomotive. You know, locomotives are powerful things. Whether they're electric or steam, they can pull many coaches, whether it's with goods or people, and they can take them on a journey and a destination. But here's the key. For that to happen, they have to engage those coaches. They have to connect. There's a coupling that happens, and then they can actually harness the power of that locomotive. Now, if that locomotive is not connected, if it's not engaged, it's just going on a ride on its own. It's not fulfilling any purpose. And so for you to fulfill a purpose, and we need to connect, we need to engage to harness the power of that locomotive. And I'm going to show you how to do that through communication this morning. And you know, when I was younger, let me put it this way, when I was at school, I used to love to argue. And I could win many arguments, and I almost got beat up for it because I wanted to defeat my opponent. It was like them against me, and I would win the argument. And when they would be speaking about their point of view, I would not be listening. And that's what happens when you argue. I would be loading my gun figuratively, and I would be waiting to shoot that bullet into their head and defeat them. Now, you know what I'm speaking about. So you may ask, the first thing is, what's the difference, Jack, when I'm communicating? When I'm arguing and when I'm having a discussion. An argument is a win at all costs. You never normally know, not listening to the opponent. You are thinking about strategy, how to defeat them. And that's a very poor way of communicating. When you look at having a discussion, you may still differ with somebody. You can still have a strong point of view. It's just now you're applying yourself in a different way, where you're trying to hear what they're saying, and you're trying to do it with empathy, patience, and respect. And there is this opportunity that they feel that perhaps if their opinion is put across well, it can actually convince you to change your mind. And likewise, you can do that for them. And so a discussion is much more productive than an argument, because it's in that framework of communication. And to me, that's much better. Now, I like to think of electricity when it comes to communicate. Electricity, for electricity to work, they say you have to close the circuit. If you don't close the circuit, literally, if you walk into a room and you switch the switch on, it's supposed to close the circuit, and the electricity flows to the globe, and the light comes on. But if in the wall there was a break, you can flick that switch, and one of the wires are broken, and the circuit won't close, and the light won't come on. The light coming on in electricity in communication is the power of electricity. When the light comes on, there's revelation in what you're trying to communicate or to say to somebody. So remember that you have to close the circuit. Now, coming back to the fallacies of communication. I know people say communication is a two-sided event, and it is, but it's more than that. It is two-sided, but it can sometimes be, if it's not a single line with two people attached to it, it can also be a triangle, and then there's three people involved. And if it's a square, there's 4 people, and a hexagon, there's 6 people. As a person, whether you're young and you're communicating, you need to understand there are people that you are touching through those points. And whether you are a boss, whether you are an employee or employer, whether you are a father or a mother, a child, or just a friend or a business owner, you need to learn to communicate and realize that communication is not just a single-sided event. It's not just sometimes a double-sided event. It can maybe even be a 6-sided event. And so it can be complicated, but it can still be effective. And so I want to show you this morning just one of the things that I shared with you about how do you communicate more effectively? How do you engage, Jack? How do I couple up and I connect so I can take those people that I'm wanting to take on a journey somewhere? How do I do that more effectively? So the first one is choose the discussion route. Don't choose the argumentative route, win at all costs. The discussion route needs to be where you listen to somebody, even if you've got a strong opinion, you try and hear what they're saying, you try and have empathy to their point, you try and have respect, and you have patience. And you're open to say, if their opinion is better than mine because I've listened, I will change my mind. If there is that opportunity, then they feel you're having a discussion with them. So that's the first one. The second one I want to say is try to not just listen to what people are saying. And you say, but isn't that important? Yes. But you must remember that people aren't always good communicators. So they may not be able to say what they mean. Try and go one step above. Try and say, I want to try and hear what I think they say. Now that's one level up. And how do you do that? You go and you say to them, when I listen to you, I hear that you are trying to say this to me. Am I correct in hearing what you're saying? The moment you tell somebody you're listening to them, you empower them. They feel important. And when you give them that feedback, they either say, that's what I'm trying to say, or they correct you and say, no, I'm actually trying to say this. Either way, you are communicating effectively with that person and you're empowering them. And then the last one would be, from Proverbs. I love Proverbs. There's so many good Proverbs. But let me just take 2 scriptures. Proverbs 15:28. It's a profound scripture. It says, the heart of the righteous weighs its answer, but the mouth of the wicked gushes evil. Evil people have no stops. They open their mouths and they speak just all sorts of evil. But a righteous person like you, if you want to be fair, a righteous person is a fair person. You weigh your answer and you take time to say, is this answer valuable? Is it adding value? Is it meaningful? When you go into a shop and they weigh something that's important, they do it because they want to give you value for money. They want to make sure they don't cheat you. And so they weigh this. And it's like Proverbs says, weigh your answer. It takes time in your heart and say, is this answer going to add value in communication in that person's life? So that when I give this answer, it is a just answer. If you take that time, like the Bible says, you will communicate effectively. And then Proverbs 18:2, it says, fools find no pleasure in understanding. They don't want to understand an answer. It says they delight in airing their own opinion. We've all been there before. And so just remember this morning that if you want to harness the power of communication in your life, if you want to take people on a journey, if you want to connect and engage and start pulling them to places they've always meant to be, because locomotives were built for a purpose, to take things to a certain place, then remember these three things, that when next time you are engaging or you're connecting through communication, use the discussion method, not the argumentative method. Try to not just hear what they're saying, because they may make a mistake and you can catch them out and shoot them in the head, but say to them rather, let me think of what am I thinking that you're trying to say, and give them feedback by saying, is this what you, when I listen to you, this is what I hear, is this correct? And you will empower them. And lastly, weigh your answer in your heart. It takes time, and say, does this answer add value to my communication with this person? If you do these three things, you will close the circuit, you will flick the switch, the power will flow, and the light will come on. There will be revelation in your communications. My name is Jack Vint. You've been watching Timeout. I want to encourage you to help me to be a creator, a communicator on social media, by just sharing this, by commenting, by doing, because you know, Timeout and Timeout is all about being positive and sharing the positivity. So thank you for going on this journey with me. I appreciate it, and I'm going to catch you next week.